Well, we've set the mood and it's time to carry on in that direction because we're going to be talking about the spirit of forgiveness.
Exactly, which is something that... So this is, you know how every family, they have the Salam Raya tradition? So I actually never grew up doing it. I never realized that, you know, every family did it until I think I was slightly older. And when it became time for me to kind of essentially start doing it, I felt very awkward.
Yeah, for me too, because I never grew up doing that. So it kind of came into my life after marriage. So it's interesting because I grew up in a very traditional household, I would say, when your parents did something that was kind of wrong. There was no, I'm sorry, no. You know, your dad or mom does not apologize for nothing. But when it comes to the spirit of forgiveness in the Malay family concept, everybody basically apologizes to everyone else and kind of wipes the slate clean. Exactly.
But, you know, with the act of actually asking for forgiveness, there must be some sort of after effect from it, right? Because we don't just simply ask forgiveness for the sake of asking forgiveness. It has to have some sort of repercussion. It has to have some sort of reason to it. If not, it feels very empty. Yeah, it's like in a relationship when, you know, either party says sorry for the sake of saying sorry, it doesn't mean anything. But I think in the spirit of Raya, this year when you guys actually ask for forgiveness from your parents, from your partners, even from your siblings, from your kid, even if you want to, why not? You know, it has to come from a place of, you know, I want to forgive not only for you, but also for myself.
All right, so far, this is us spitballing. But to actually put some meat on the bone and give you an actual religious perspective to what forgiveness is all about, we have USTAZAH Liyana, who's joining us on Skype right now. Very good morning to you. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. How are both of you?
We're good.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
So let's get started with some definitions. I know it's a boring way to start, but anyway, what in your mind or what to your knowledge is the spirit of forgiveness all about?
For me, forgiveness is not just an act, because I think right now as we are approaching the season of meeting each other, the season of visiting, forgiveness becomes an act where we actually have to like, okay, I'm so sorry, I apologize for everything that I've done in the past, I'm so sorry I have done something wrong to you. But in my understanding of what forgiveness is, it is more than just an act, it's actually a value. One that carries emotions, one that carries effort, one that carries planning, one that carries sincerity. So it's not just an act of asking for forgiveness or wanting to be forgiven, but it's actually a value, and it comes with a lot of effort, planning, motivation, and sincerity with it.
Interesting that you mentioned planning, because the rest of the you said sincerity and all that, I understand. But why did you include planning in asking for forgiveness?
Okay, so for example, for some of us who have never met a particular relative or family member for so long, especially with COVID and safe distancing and the quarantine, so we haven't met some members of the family or some of our relatives for quite some time. But when Raya comes and everyone is gathering at the same place, you might see the person that you wish you will not see. You might encounter meeting that person who you wish, oh no, I wish I can avoid this person on social media, but then you have to be upfront with the person. So if something went wrong, if there was something that happened in the past and you know that the conversation will happen, so some of the individuals will actually have to plan on what to say, what to communicate, what kind of messaging to approach with. Do you say sorry for an incident that happened 2 years ago? So some plannings are definitely involved. And also with regards to the messaging, the language, right? When we apologize to our parents, it's different when we apologize to our siblings. When we apologize to our siblings, it's definitely different when we apologize to our spouse. So definitely, there has to be some planning on how we approach the matter.
All right, that's interesting. I know we've been talking about the cultural aspects of forgiveness, but I want to delve a little bit into the religious aspects, especially for our Muslim brothers and sisters watching this program right now. One of the things I noticed about Islam when I first came into the religion was the fact that there was a certain mathematical equation to this. You do this and you get that, you do this and you get that. That's how it was first promoted.
Right.
But underlying everything is the niyat, or your intention. So I think that kind of gets lost in translation sometimes. How do you highlight this to anyone watching this program right now so that our act of forgiveness doesn't seem insincere?
Great, amazing question. I think for a start, we need to put into our system a realization that forgiveness in the months of Hari Raya is not a trend. Because just because everybody is doing it, and then all of us are taking pictures of us bowing down on the floor, on the carpet, and then we are kissing the hand, and then the other party will put their hand on top of our head. So it becomes like a trend, like a
photo,
a sensation. It's like a sensation, and everybody is taking picture of that actual session.
Yep.
So for that, it is not a trend. It is actually, like I said previously, it's a moral value that we instill to enhance, to better the bond with the peoples in our house, or with the people who are our relatives or our friends. So number one, it's not a trend. Number two, even if you do not do anything wrong, even if you haven't done anything wrong towards that party, it's always good to just make the bond better by, like that term kosong-kosong. It's like, my friend, you're my best friend, we are cool, we are chill, but if I have done anything wrong, I truly apologize for that. So that's number two. For you to just apologize, even for the betterment of the relationship, even if you're confident, nothing wrong ever happened. I think for the third, there is definitely that parallel equation where if I do this, I'll get that. If I do this, I'll get that. And that works for some people, right? We need to instill some form of motivation for them. Yeah, but I think for this year's Raya, I would love to invite my brothers and sisters who are watching this show for us to actually be the bigger person and start to change the narrative of apologizing in the month of Raya, not for a trend, but rather because I want to be a bigger person, I want to protect the relationship, I care for the relationship, I care for my bond with my family members, so I'm going to be the bigger person. I'm going to start making little changes to make this apology session more meaningful and purposeful.
Right. Interesting. I mean, I love how you talked about, again, it's a moral value. Like I said in the beginning, for me, asking for forgiveness is not only to, strengthen my bond with other people, but it's also for myself.
Correct.
I'm actually wondering, how can we ensure that, whatever we ask forgiveness, no matter what the wrongdoing was, we don't repeat the same mistake? Because like you said, nowadays it has become a trend. So for our friends out there, our brothers, our sisters who are watching and who want to make sure that their apology is something that they will carry on not only for that particular day, but it is for throughout the rest of their life. How do they ensure that what they're apologizing for, they don't repeat the same mistake again?
That's an interesting question, because I think for us as humans, we make mistakes, we have flaws, right? We fall and falter most of the times. So even after we have apologized, 2 weeks later, 2 months later, 2 years later, we might actually repeat or fall into the same exact loop again. So I think for a start, having that awareness that I have apologized to this party, and this apology means so much to me, and I'm pretty sure this apology will definitely create an impact for the party receiving the apology. So for a start, having that internal awareness that it is not just saying sorry. I think for now, right, the word sorry is as easy, as widely used as the word I love you. So everyone is using it. I'm sorry, I love you. So it becomes like, I'm sorry. What do you want me to say? I already told you I'm sorry. So it has lost the essence of what it truly is. So for a start, one of the things that we can do is little changes, is to actually have the internal realization that, look, I'm going to make this apology a splendid, meaningful, purposeful one, not for the other party only, but for yourself. Because right now, we need to realize that when you apologize, it's not getting closure from the other party. It's actually getting closure for yourself.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice. That's very deep, and I think that's very true because Ramadan has prepared us, mind, body, and soul for Shawwal, Eid al-Fitr, and that celebration is not just a celebration of having gone through the fasting, of physical fasting, but also a period of realization where you actually get a chance to think, recollect, and list down perhaps the things that you may have done that have transgressed against someone else. So to that, I want to ask, what are the benefits of forgiveness? You just highlighted one very important one because it's kind of closure for yourself. But what else from a religious perspective? Because I do believe that we're talking about a moral value in forgiveness, but morality just for the sake of morality alone is cut flower ethics. It's not rooted in anything, but because we have fasted through the month, I think our translation of that morality is firmly rooted in the belief in Islam. So I want to ask you, what are the benefits of forgiveness?
Brilliant question. There are many verses in the Quran, or there are many prophetic narrations that highlight about the virtues of forgiveness, right? Forgiving others as well as asking others for forgiveness. I think the one most crucial highlight would definitely be, if you want God to forgive you for all the sins that you have done, you start the forgiving of others first. So that one is one of the most crucial one, which is for us to want to receive and want to be able to get forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to also be the one who allows forgiveness for others. So that's number one. Number two is definitely closure, like I mentioned earlier, because sometimes when others did something wrong to you and you are expecting, you actually have that expectation of forgiveness from them, but sometimes that doesn't happen, or that will never happen at all. So in such narration, or in such narrative, where do you get the closure? So instead of you expecting, demanding, wanting that apology from that person, you apologize or you give out the apology first without that person even asking. It's not because they deserve it or they don't deserve it, but it's because if you still have that obstacle of anger or frustration, right? Our religion talks a lot about anger, for you to release your anger, for you to not be drowned in anger, for you not to be consumed by frustration. So for you to be the bigger person and forgive others. So that is, for me, definitely it's about wanting God to be on our side. If we want Him to forgive us for the wrongdoings that we have done, we also have to be the bigger person and forgive others. Number two is closure, peace. You need that peace. You need that feeling of compassion within you. So you don't, it's not like a functioning robot where like, oh, I'm so angry at that person, I'm just going to block that person. It's not about, you know, right now we are in the era of social media where it's so easy to get angry at that person, you just block that person. But then you're just not addressing the matter, then you're actually pushing it away. So our religion taught us a lot about the virtues of forgiveness, the promises that we will get from someone who gives out forgiveness. And forgiveness has a strong connection to silaturahmi, like bond. If you are able to forgive others, if you are able to lower down your ego and ask for an apology, that actually creates a more peaceful connection with those around us.
All right, super duper awesome. I think I want to ask you one final question. Do you have any stories or any verses or any texts, some of your favorite texts in regards to forgiveness that you want to share to our audiences, especially to our younger audiences who are watching, who are, you know, about to learn how to ask for forgiveness, how to even receive forgiveness? Or actually, like, receive forgiveness, forgive other people as well. Some of your favorite stories that our audiences who can read about or can refer to, you know, on days that they feel like, today I just don't want to forgive this person, I want to block this person on social media, I want to, you know, let the world burn, but, you know, need to calm down a little bit because it's still the month of Ramadan.
I actually wanted to share some verses from the Quran, but I think I have a more powerful story. So what happened was when our Prophet Muhammad SAW, he is the best example for us to follow, right? He's like a role model. So what happened was an enemy of the Prophet was actually planning to kill and to murder his uncle. So it was a battlefield, right? So Hind and her helper and assistant actually made a very, very horrible plan on how they actually want the murder to take place. So their focus is, I want to make sure he doesn't just die immediately, but he actually felt that pain before he passed away, that he actually felt that misery, that sorrow. So they actually made a very, very intense planning on how they wanted the murder to happen. And even after the murder took place, they went above and beyond by actually cutting the heart and then taking out the heart and then doing more to the dead body after the murder. So it was very intense. If we actually look at this story, the planning before the murder, the actual murder, and also what happens after the murder. And everybody knew about what happened, including the Prophet himself. And this was his favorite, one of his favorite family members, right? So after that, when the enemies of the Prophet actually have that realization and they wanted to come close to the religion, they wanted to come close to God, the Prophet still remember very clearly what happened. It was like it happened yesterday, but he was he became a bigger person and he forgave them for what they have done. And he see them as a fresh new individuals who have regretted what they have done, who are sorry for what they have done, and now they are trying to turn into a new leaf. So the Prophet could have just, be very angry, hold on to that memory, hold on to that very, very horrid scene of murder, but he didn't. He didn't. He said, you know what? They are trying to be a bigger person right now. They want to be connected to God. They want to be good Muslims. So I am going to accept them. I am going to embrace them. And I'm going to see them as a new person that they are. Because sometimes what's difficult is that we still associate that person to what they have done in the past.
Yeah.
Even if they have apologized for multiple times, even if they have remorse, guilt, they are really sorry, we cannot disconnect what they did in the past, the hurt that we are feeling, because we still see them as the same person, right? Yeah. So
that was a great story. And just I would like to add one component to that was that Prophet Muhammad SAW at that point in time was at the seat of power, so he could do anything.
Yeah, basically, right?
In retribution, but he chose not to, and that is, I think, a
powerful
brilliant story.
Yeah. So thank you again so much for sharing that story with us, and of course sharing all of your opinions about forgiveness and how we can just be a better human being at the end of the day, and how it, again, forgiveness is, like you said, it's a moral component to not only, I think we can take it beyond Islam itself. Everyone should start asking for forgiveness and should forgive any wrongdoings at the end of the day.
Ustazah, we would like to ask you to send your Raya greetings out to any friends, family you have here in Malaysia, and also wherever people are watching us right now. So go right ahead, the floor is yours.
Selamat Hari Raya, everybody. I'm very grateful that situation is so much better now. Things are getting better. We can now meet. We can now visit our family members and our relatives. I'm so excited to come down to Malaysia and meet my family and friends that are in Malaysia. Don't forget to make your apology or your forgiveness session meaningful this year, because your little actions actually do matter.
All right.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you an advance Selamat Hari Raya as well.
Yeah.